Hello students, today we will discuss the concept of path difference and intensity distribution in Young's double slit experiment, and further we will move to the three slit experiment, triple slit experiment, and we will find out how the intensity is distributed in a three slit experiment. So first we will discuss double slit experiment and then we will extend our learning to the triple slit experiment. This is the setup of Young's double slit experiment. We have two parallel slits S1 and S2, and there is a screen at some distance denoted by capital D. The separation between the slits S1 and S2, the separation between the two narrow slits which are represented by S1 and S2 is small d. Capital D denotes the separation between the cardboard in which we create the slits. So we have a cardboard in which we create two parallel slits, and from that cardboard we have a parallel screen at a distance of capital D. Monochromatic parallel beam of light is incident on the slits. We assume that the wavelength of incident wave is lambda, is the wavelength, and the interference is being observed at point P. If we look, the path of wave which is coming from slit S1 to the point P, denoted by R1, and the path of wave which reaches to the same point P from slit S2, that wave has a path R2. I call them wave 1 and wave 2. They have their paths equal to R1 and R2, and our aim is to find out the path difference. So first aim is to find out what is the path difference between the wave 1 and wave 2 when they reach at the point P. For that, we will use some mathematical aspect, property of triangles. So first of all, I will follow the triangle S1AP. I will color that triangle this S1AP. This is the triangle. Okay. In this triangle S1AP, in this triangle, the angle S1AP, you can easily see that this angle S1AP is pi by 2 minus theta. And I will apply cosine rule for this triangle. So first I will use the triangle APS1, where angle S1AP is pi by 2 minus theta angle, and then I apply cosine rule. Applying cosine rule in this triangle, if you apply the cosine rule of triangle, you get the expression, right? You will get the expression that R1 square equal to R square plus d by 2 whole square, d over 2 whole square, minus dr sine of theta. Similarly, if I apply sine rule in the triangle APS2, where this angle S2AP, this angle S2AP will be pi by 2 plus theta. So if I go for cosine rule now, so applying cosine rule of triangles, I will get R2 square equal to R square plus d by 2 whole square and plus dr sine theta. Right? Now I will subtract these two equations to get R2 square minus R1 square. So if I subtract R2 square minus R1 square, that means I will subtract equation 1 from the equation 2 to get R2 square minus R1 square, which I get as 2dr sine of theta. Further, this R2 square minus R1 square can be written as R2 minus R1 times R2 plus R1 by using the fundamental property of A square minus B square is A plus B and A minus B. And now we will use one approximation. So if I use the approximation that capital D is much larger than small d, the slits are very close to each other, then I can think that R1 and R2 are not very, they are not having very big difference. They are very close values and they can be approximated equals to capital of D. Under this approximation, R1 and R2 is nearly equals to D, and therefore this R2 plus R1, this value which is R2 plus R1 can be approximated. You can approximate this distance as, right? So you can approximate this distance. Let me denote this distance by R, okay? I will denote this distance as R, and now I will use the approximation that when capital D is much larger than small d, then sorry, I did a mistake here, okay? This was a mistake from my side that R1 and R2 are not equals to capital D. Okay, you can take them equals to capital D, but right now I will consider R1 and R2 equal to this little r, small r. And then R2 plus R1 will be replaced by twice of R under the approximation. Using this approximation, I can use R2 plus R1 as 2 times of small r. And then here it is R2 minus R1. And then we have 2RD over sine d into sine theta. So now this 2R and 2R I can cancel out, and then R2 minus R1. I obtain R2 minus R1 as d sine theta. So this is a mathematical proof of path difference, which is R2 minus R1 is small d into sine of theta, and we can call it R2 minus R1 as the path difference between the wave 1 and wave 2 when they reach at point P. So the two waves coming from the slit S1 and slit S2 reaching at point P, which has an angular position of theta relative to the reference line, and the reference line is the perpendicular bisector of two slits. So this is the reference line, and from that reference line at angle theta, if you consider a point P on the screen, that point P has a path difference between the waves coming from the slit 1 and slit 2, and that path difference is approximated as d into sine of theta. It was the subjective approach. It was a complete descriptive approach to find out the path difference. But this learning will be extended to the next part now. That this path difference, which is denoted by d into sine theta, small d into sine theta. Now, we can also find out the path difference if I treat, here is the objective approach. If I consider that the waves which are coming from S1, let us assume that the wave which is traveling from S1 and the wave which travels from S2. If I assume that these two waves are traveling in a parallel direction. So if you consider the wave 1 and wave 2 from the slit S1 and slit S2 to be nearly parallel, right? So the path difference between the two waves can be obtained by treating the waves parallel to each other. So this is the objective way to find out the path difference in double slit experiment. That consider the wave 1 and wave 2 of slit 1 and slit 2 to be parallel, and then what is done is drop a perpendicular from S1 to the wave 2. Drop a perpendicular line from S1 to the wave 2, and this little distance will be denoted by delta R. You can denote this as delta R. And this is from very simple trigonometry ratio, that sine of theta in this triangle will be, sine theta in this small triangle will be this perpendicular length, which is denoted by delta R, which is path difference, divided by this hypotenuse, which is small d. So the path difference is objectively obtained. You can find out that path difference, which is R1 minus R2, and that path difference is d into sine theta. So this is the objective way to find out the path difference by considering wave 1 and wave 2 traveling from S1 and S2 towards point P. And we can consider those two waves as parallel waves, and then drop a perpendicular from slit 1 on the wave coming from the slit 2. And the foot of that perpendicular, if I denote that foot point as A, then the separate distance of that foot point of the perpendicular from slit S2 denotes the path difference. Now, once we have obtained the path difference, we can convert it into the phase difference by the relation, using the relation that the phase difference, which is normally denoted by symbol phi, is 2 pi over wavelength and the path difference. So since we have obtained the path difference, we can convert this path difference into the phase difference now. And now we get phase difference between the two waves as 2 pi by lambda over d into sine of theta. So that is the phase difference. Now our aim is to find out the intensity at point P. Let us assume that the wave 1 which comes from the slit 1, assume that the wave 1 which is coming from slit 1 has amplitude, it has an amplitude of E naught at point P. And we also assume that the wave which comes from the slit 2 has same amplitude, which means the amplitude of electric field oscillation in wave 2 is E naught. So I assume that the two waves reaching at point P, they have same amplitude of oscillation for the electric field component, as it is electromagnetic wave. So we are considering the electric field component of the wave, and we assume that the electric field amplitude from the wave 1 and from the wave 2, that means the wave coming from slit 1 and the wave coming from slit 2 is equal at point P. But the wave coming from slit 2 has a phase difference with the wave 1. So the oscillation of electric field at point P, oscillation of electric field at point P can be written as if I write oscillation of electric field at point P, then for the wave 1, if I denote that oscillation equation as E equal to E naught, which is the maximum value times sine omega t, then the wave 2 equation for wave 2 oscillation can be E naught sine omega t and some phase difference phi with respect to the wave of slit 1. Now, by the superposition theorem, apply the superposition theorem to get resultant wave equation. So E net will be basically E1 plus E2. And if I add E1 plus E2 and I use trigonometric conditions, so I will add E1 plus E2 now, and that will be E naught and then sine of omega t plus sine of omega t plus phi. And I will use a trigonometric identity that sine of sum of two sine functions, there is a trigonometric identity. And simplifying this expression by use of trigonometric identity, you will get E net as twice of E naught. Using trigonometry identity, you get twice E naught into cos of phi by 2 and then sine of omega t plus phi by 2. Now we all know that the intensity of wave, the intensity I of wave is always proportional to the square of electric field. Intensity of wave is proportional to the square of electric field. It means that the resultant intensity will be proportional to this 4 E naught square. In fact, the intensity is proportional to the average value of square of electric field. So therefore, I is proportional to 4 E naught square cos square phi by 2, average of cos square phi by 2, and then the average value of sine square omega t plus phi by 2. We will consider the average value of sine square omega t plus phi by 2. And we all know that during one oscillation, the average value of sine square omega t or cos square omega t is always equals to half. The average of this variable term sine square omega t plus phi is always 1 by 2. And therefore, intensity is now proportional to 2 E naught square cos square of phi by 2. Intensity is proportional to this factor now. We can convert this proportionality into equality, right? We can convert the proportionality into the equality part now. And if I convert this proportionality into the equality factor, I have to introduce a constant value in this expression and let this constant value be k. I introduce k as a constant value now, and this is k into 2 E naught square cos square of phi by 2. We all know that the maximum value of cos function is plus 1. So the maximum, this k into 2 E naught square is nothing but the maximum intensity. This constant k into 2 E naught square will represent the maximum possible intensity in this expression. And therefore the intensity I equals to the maximum possible intensity into cos square phi by 2. So this is the final result of intensity distribution in double slit experiment. This capital I is the intensity at a y distance point. So this is the point P which is at a y distance from the center O, where we are finding the intensity. So intensity at a y distance above the reference line. Intensity at a y distance above this reference line, which passes through the center of S1, S2. So from that reference line which passes through the center of S1, S2, that is our reference line. If you go y distance above or if you go y distance below, then you can find out the intensity in terms of the maximum intensity of wave. Right? And we can use the previous relation. You can use the previous relation of phase difference. That phase difference is 2 pi over lambda into d sine theta. So if I use this phase difference, then the same expression can be now written as intensity I equal to I max, which is the maximum intensity, into cos square pi d sine theta over lambda. Right? You have to replace phi now. You have to replace phi with 2 pi over lambda d sine theta. That means phi by 2, which is our requirement for the next segment, is pi by lambda into d sine theta. So this phi by 2 we have used here, pi by lambda into d sine theta. And then the intensity expression is now in terms of this angular position theta. And if this theta is small, if this theta is small angle, okay, if this theta is a small angle, you can convert this intensity in terms of y also. Because if theta is small, you can use the conditions of limit that sine of theta is approximately same as tan of theta, and sine of theta is approximately same as tan of theta, which can be written as distance of y over capital D. So now finally you can have intensity expression in terms of linear position y of the point P on the screen. Earlier we had this expression in terms of the angular position theta, and now we have intensity expression in terms of linear position y of point from the reference line or from the center of screen. So this is my final expression of intensity in terms of y. So if you know the location y, if this distance y is given to you, you can find out intensity at any desired point on the screen. Just put the value of y and you can compare how much will be the intensity at that point P relative to the maximum intensity. Look, we cannot find what is the absolute intensity, but we can compare the intensity at any point on the screen with the maximum intensity on the screen. So this is the comparison factor, that intensity at any point equals to the maximum intensity times cos square pi by lambda into dy over d. Now we will plot this expression. So when you go for plotting this expression on the vertical axis and horizontal axis, the plot will be similar to the plot of cos square function. If you know how to plot the graph of cos square, you can plot the graph of intensity. And this is what we have done here. The graph for intensity will be similar to that of a cos square function, which is easily available in your calculus books under the topic functions. From there, you can learn how to plot the graph of cos square functions. And this is something like this. The graph of cos square is something like this. Notice we have this maximum. Again, we have intensity maximum. Again, we have the maximum intensity. And this maximum intensity appears at regular intervals. It appears at the regular values of y. And if I calculate from the previous expression, which was I equals to I max cos square, my previous expression, okay, cos square and then pi dy over lambda d. So it is pi small dy over lambda times capital D. So the first intensity appears, this is the first intensity which appears when pi dy over lambda into capital D is taken as 0. Now the second maximum appears, the second maximum, it appears when you take pi dy over lambda d equal to pi, because in that case we know that cos of pi is -1 and squaring of -1 will become +1. So you will get intensity as the maximum intensity. Further, you can say that the second maximum will be obtained and so on. And the separation between the two successive maximas is a distance which is written by capital D lambda over small d. And sometimes we call it fringe width. So this is how intensity distribution is plotted or obtained in two-slit experiment. Now the same theory will be implemented. Now the same theory will be implemented for three-slit experiment. So here we have three slits, S1, S2, and S3. Again, a monochromatic wave of wavelength lambda is incident on all the three slits. And the wave 1 from slit 1, wave 2 from the slit 2, and wave 3 from the slit 3 reaches to the point P, which is the point of interference. This is a point of interference where we have to analyze how much will be the intensity, which means we need to find out the intensity at point P over the maximum intensity. This is our aim. How much will be the intensity at point P relative to the maximum intensity on the screen. And for that, we will use this objective trick. We will use this objective method, that to find a phase difference or path difference, you can consider the wave from S1 and S2 to be parallel. So if I go for that, if I use that concept, then I will drop a perpendicular from S1 on S2, and similarly I will drop a perpendicular from S2 on the wave of S3. And doing the same exercise, you can prove that the path difference, doing the same exercise, you can prove that the path difference between S1 and S2 is d sine theta. And with the same logic, the path difference between S2 and S3 is again d sine theta. And that means S1 and S3, if I go for S1, S3, it will be 2d sine theta. So the phase difference between the source S1 and S2, wave coming from S1, S2, will be 2 pi over lambda into d sine theta. And the phase difference between the wave coming from S1 and the wave coming from S3 will be 2 pi over lambda and the path difference 2d sine theta. Now the electric field coming from the wave S1 is, let's say, E naught sine omega t. Electric field coming from the wave coming from the slit S2, if I denote it E naught sine omega t, then it has a phase difference of 2 pi over lambda d sine of theta from the wave S1. And the wave coming from slit 3 is represented by E naught sine omega t. Notice this wave has a phase difference of phi S1 S3, and that is 4 pi over lambda d sine of theta. You apply superposition theorem and get the net electric field at point P, which is E1 plus E2 plus E3. And then you have to do some mathematical exercise, a trigonometric exercise. I can give a hint to you. You first of all simplify E1 plus E3. So that is just a hint. Simplify E1 plus E3, and whatever you get result from E1 plus E3, add E2 into them. After doing mathematical portion, okay, after doing the mathematical exercise here, you get E net as, after doing the mathematical exercise, trigonometric exercise, you will get the resultant electric field at this point. And the resultant electric field which you will get at this point will be E naught times 1 plus 2 cos of this 2 pi over lambda into d sine theta, and then a time varying factor which is sine omega t plus 2 pi over lambda d sine of theta. Then take the square on both sides, E naught square, then here it will take square, and then here you will have square, and then take the average value. So the average of this function, and now average of this sine square function. And later on, use the concept that intensity is always proportional to the average of E square. Intensity is always proportional to the average of E square. And also use the fact that average of sine square function, average of this sine square function will be always 1 by 2. Average of the sine square function will always be 1 by 2. So finally, when you simplify this expression, you get intensity I proportional to E naught square by 2, and then 1 plus 2 cos phi whole square, where this phi is actually 2 pi over lambda times d into sine theta, which for small values of theta, you can use again the fact that sine theta equals to tan of theta approximately, and then it can be approximated as in terms of the linear distance. In terms of the linear distance, you can use this at y over capital D. And then convert this proportionality into equality by introduction of a constant value. So then I get I as some constant k into E naught square by 2, and then 1 plus 2 cos phi whole square. Now we will look for the maximum value, and the maximum value of cos phi. We know that cos phi has a maximum value equals to +1. And when I put cos phi as maximum value, I get intensity maximum as constant k E naught square by 2. And then cos phi, when I substitute cos phi as 1, I get a square of 3. So I get 9. So what I will do is now I will replace k E naught square by 2. I will replace k E naught square by 2 equal to this maximum intensity over 9. And then I can simplify my expression I as maximum intensity over 9 times 1 plus 2 cos that phi, and now phi will be replaced by 2 pi over lambda d, and then sine theta is y over capital D. So this is now intensity at y distance on the screen. This is intensity at the y distance on screen when compared with the maximum intensity. And when you plot this expression, look, this is a very complicated expression, okay? And why it is complicated expression? Why this expression is a complicated expression? Just look the values. If y equal to 0, I is maximum. If y equal to capital D lambda over small d, again I is maximum. You can check the value. Again I is maximum. Right? But what will happen when this term is pi by 3? It is possible that for some value of y, you get pi by 3. And that is y equal to d lambda over 6d. If I put y equals to d lambda over 6d, then I get cos pi by 3, which is cos 60 degree, which is 1 by 2. Sorry, I should be 2d lambda by 60. If I take y equals to 2d lambda by 60, that means d lambda by 3d. Then I get cos 2 pi by 3, which is minus 1 by 2, and minus 1 by 2. That means you will get intensity I equal to 0 here. You will get intensity I equal to 0. And also, if you take y equal to 2d lambda over 3d, then also you will get intensity equal to 0. So you get 0 intensity 2 times before the next maximum intensity. After having one maximum intensity, you will have 2 times where the intensity is 0, and then again the maximum intensity. So the graph is something like this. After one maximum intensity, the intensity goes to 0 at this point. Then the intensity will rise. It will again drop to 0, and then it will reach to this maximum intensity. And this distance is same as d lambda over small d. But this first point where the intensity is 0, the first point where intensity is 0 is d lambda over 3d. And then the second point where intensity is 0 is at a distance of 2d lambda over 3d. And then intensity is maximum at a distance of 3d lambda over 3d. So you can repeat this pattern for the next graph. Again, the intensity will drop to 0. It will rise, again drop to 0, and again it will become maximum. You can use the same pattern. Use the same pattern now. That now from this point, from the second maximum, it is d lambda over 3d. Then again 0 intensity at a distance of 2d lambda over 3d. And then again this maximum intensity, which is at a distance of 3d lambda over 3d. So this is the pattern of intensity in 3-slit experiment. And these points are known as basically local maximas. These are the local maxima of intensity, and this I maximum is called as primary maxima of intensity. So the primary maximum of intensity, those points are still separated by the same distance d lambda over d, which was in double slit experiment. Notice in the double slit experiment, the primary maximas were separated by capital D lambda over small d. And in the three slit experiment also, the primary maximas are separated by the same distance. The only additional point is that you get a local maxima in between the two primary maximas. You get a local maxima and you get zero intensity for 2 times, whereas in the double slit experiment, between the two global maximas or two primary maximas of intensity, you get zero intensity at 1 point. Between two maximas, you have zero intensity at 1 point, and in three slit experiment, between two primary maximas, you have zero intensity at 2 points. So this expression will define the total intensity at any point y on the screen. So if I know the value of y, I can find out how much will be the intensity at that point relative to the maximum intensity on the screen. So this was intensity distribution in two slit experiment and three slit experiment of Young's experiment and problems which are related to the interference. And we can extend this theory for four slit experiment, five slit experiment, and even for n number of slits, provided all the slits are equally spaced from one another. The spacing between the slits was considered to be equal in this example. I took the same spacing between the slits D and D. So this way you can increase the number of slit and you can analyze how will be the intensity at any general point relative to the maximum intensity on the screen. Thank you and take care. Bye bye.